Preparation, getting ready, being available to different ideas. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to think about the future. I want to think about my family. I want to think about, being ready for the what if. And so I've been thinking about today about the market. It seems like the market just continues to rise and rise. The S&P 500 hitting all-time highs seemingly every day. Week by week, it hits another all-time high here. And I think to myself, how long can that happen? How long can that go on for? And I wonder if you think the same thing yourself, or are you just enjoying the wave? But for me, I think about preparation. I am a fairly athletic person. And, I used to play hockey 7 days a week. I used to, multiple times a day, 7 days a week. And I used to play baseball, basketball, golf. And last night I played some pickleball. Woo, I'm feeling it today. But the point I'm trying to make is that I want to be prepared for the what if, right? So last night, a lot of movement with the stretching, things like that to prepare for an injury. I actually blew out my ACL, MCL, and PCL about 6 years ago playing squash. And I wasn't prepared for injury. And it happened, and now I've had to deal with that for the last 5 years. So last night, preparing for injury, and I felt like one time when I moved, ooh, that could be my knee right there. But luckily I was good. But I was prepared for what if, right? I was prepared to prevent that. And so today's video, I want to talk about that in terms of my money, in terms of stock, in terms of ETFs. And I've talked about it before, being prepared for the what if. And I mean, this market just continues to go up. So today's video, let's talk about that. I've got a whole bunch of cool screens here for you to take a look at. The first one I'm looking at is the S&P 500. Now, this is kind of like the benchmark, right? Everybody says that you got to invest in the S&P 500. Not me, I don't say that, but that's what everybody else says, right? And so there's a reason for it, It traditionally goes up at least 10% every single year. Some years it hit 50%, but some years it's 13%, so on and so forth. So far in the last 1 year, it's gone up 17%. And that's pretty impressive stuff. Now, the S&P 500 holds the top 500. Let's do air quotations, right? These are handpicked by a group of people. Presumably very profitable, very good companies in there. But over the last economic downturn that happened, well, not the last one, but 2007 to 2009, a number of companies failed to meet their qualifications and left the S&P 500 or were kicked out of the S&P 500. So you notice here over the last year, it's up 17.87%. I want to talk about being prepared for myself and what I plan on doing to be ready for that economic downturn that is just inevitably going to happen, but nobody knows when. Let's talk about that in just a moment here. Here's a word from my sponsor, Moomoo. Moomoo combines powerful AI tools with an attractive new user promotion. Right now, new users can receive up to $1,000 in NVIDIA stock just by depositing funds, plus 8.1% APY on idle cash. What makes Moomoo unique is its AI-powered insights. You'll get daily and weekly briefs on the companies you follow, real-time news updates, and the ability to track net inflows and outflows on a daily, weekly, or a monthly basis. The platform also provides technical sentiment indicators showing whether a stock is leaning bullish or bearish across different time frames, from 1-minute charts to daily views. So with Moomoo, you don't just invest. You gain AI-driven insights to help you make smarter decisions. A perfect way for the retail investor to catch up to the stock market giants of the world. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much. By the way, if the link for Moomoo is down below, if you guys could click on that for me, that would be really, really great. Check it out. Such an amazing company. It's super innovative. So we talked about the S&P 500. I'd take a look at CNBC just to read the headlines here. There it is right there. S&P 500 heads for winning week, but late selling knocks down benchmark on Friday. So Bitcoin almost at all-time highs. My account hit an all-time high today, but now it's down a couple $100, right? So it was up there this morning and it's on its way down. Lots of things happening, governments boarding sailboats, government shutdowns, some guy's trying to put his face on a coin, just crazy things happening out there in the world, and it's something that I think about. Now, traditionally, August and September are rough months on the stock market. That panned out this year. August and September were difficult for a lot of the funds that I hold. Of course, S&P 500 just kept marching forward, kept marching on. But the funds I held went down. But somehow, here we are just 3 days into October, and I just hit all-time highs. And I love it. I love it. But I want to go ahead and start doing something to my account that I really haven't done before, and that is taking a portion of my distributions and putting it as cash. Now, if I had a brokerage that allowed that to grow, like Moomoo with its 8.1%, that would be incredible. But I want to hold it as cash for the end of the year. Because again, traditionally at the end of the year, December 31st, January 1st, and then the first month or so of the next year, 2026, traditionally the market goes down a little bit. So I want to hold some cash for that. I'm taking a look at some of the funds that I have up here. By the way, here's Bitcoin. It was all the way up to 123,000 earlier today. If you don't know, I like to invest in Bitcoin a little bit. It's just a very small portion of my paycheck goes to Bitcoin. I don't really care what the price is. I'm going to continue to do that for the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to see how it goes. But here's one of them that I really pay attention to. It's Mr. It's really interesting. Bitcoin almost hit all-time highs, but Mr's down 1.68% today. I know they announced a whole bunch of other of their sub funds out there, Strike and Strife and all the other ones out there are making noise today. Misty, because of that, also down 1.12%. Now, Misty's had a really rough go over the last month here, maybe longer, but over the last month specifically, over the last few weeks specifically, with that Mr. share price kind of skyrocketing, it kind of messed with their weekly calls, dipping, it's messing with their synthetic calls. They can't seem to be on the same page over here with their call structure. I'm interested to see what the distribution is going to be. Here's Mr's dashboard, strategy.com. One of the things I stare at all the time is this implied volatility, 60%. The reason I brought all of this up is because Mr. and Misty are one of those ones that I'm really interested in deploying my cash into. But lately they haven't been that good. NVIDIA stock just continues to do very well here as well over the last, we can go 6 months. Well, let's go year to date then. Up 34%. Really, really incredible. NVIDIA down 30% in share price, but you got a good distribution over that entire time. Coinbase here, over the last 6 months, up 117%. That's insane. Coney up 2.63. You got a decent distribution over that time. And I just wanted to share my passive account with you. Last month, 1376. Now, the point of this video is to talk about what I want to do. So these are some of the funds that I have. Misty, let's go over Misty, NVIDIA, Coney, Hui, HHIS, and Alti. Alti, I'm leaving it. We're going to keep doing the Alti build up to 1,400 shares. I'm not going to touch that one. I'm going to let it drip. I'm using margin, if you've been watching my videos, just $500, well, $545 a month to buy 100 shares, pay it down with distribution, and then do it again, pay it down with distribution, do it again. But what am I going to do with the distributions? Well, I anticipate that I would be really, really upset with myself if I didn't have cash sitting in my account for rainy days. And with the S&P just continuing to rise, with all of the bad news out there continuing to rise as well, I thought, can I take 10%? Let's just go with last month's distribution, 1376 after tax. So let's just call it $130 or $137. Can I take 10% and hold it as cash? Because I want to buy all the time. If I have money in my account, it's like burning a hole in my pocket. I need to spend it. But can I just hold it? I'm going to do it. I'm holding it. But I'm going to take it even further. I'm going 20%. So if I get $1,300 next month, or this month coming up, October here, I want to take $260 away of that as cash and leave it in my account. And I'm going to build that cash. It's not very much. It's not very much, right? It's just 20%. Leave it as cash until, a week or so into January. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens between now and January. Hopefully the market, let's knock on wood, right? Let's knock on wood. Hopefully the market goes up this entire time. And I've just got cash hanging out. Sure, let's hope, okay? But what if all of this bad news comes into play? The economic downturn of the United States starts to show its head in the stock market, with jobless claims, things like that. And I've got now 260 times 3 months, $700, $800 almost, $900 almost, hanging out in cash for the first week of January. At that point, I can kind of redeploy that cash. Now, on top of that, one of the things that I always look at is the VIX. Right now, the VIX is trading at $16.87. It's not where I want it to be to buy the VIX right now. Man, I want to be greedy and buy this thing at $12, but that really means that the world is spinning in a positive direction. Right now, that's not happening. That's why it's at $16. But, realistically, like anything under $15 on this is something that maybe I would want to take that 20% cash and put it into. And if you don't know much about the VIX, I'll dumb it way down for all of us here. This is like I'm afraid of what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be good. Stock chart. So the VIX, right? The VIX is there. Whenever the market goes into turmoil, whenever the market goes down, the VIX goes up. So you can see that happened here. This is probably April. It is April the 7th, $46. And I mean, if we go back out, you can see all of the times that the market had scares over the time. That's the spikes going up here. And then this thing went all the way down to the $12, $12.46 region, just for a little bit, right? So for me, $14 to $15 is something that maybe I would like to dip my toe into with the VIX. And it's just a hold. It's not going to do anything for me. It's just a hold until it hits maybe some peaks up here. You can see the different peaks. They seem to happen all the time over the last few years. And so, pay attention to those peaks, 22. A lot of times it hits 20, right? It hit 20 a whole bunch of times over the last few years here. So if you buy it at 15, sell it at 20, you've made yourself a little bit of profit. But I'm not trying to take the macaroni or the cheese out of my macaroni here. All I want to do is take 20% of the distributions, set it as cash, pay attention to the VIX here. If it gets under a certain number, then buy the VIX as a hedge or just an extra safety measure put in place, or an extra stretching exercise to my sports analogy from earlier. And I think that would be a wise decision. It's not probably that wise for me to put all my money just redistributed back into funds that, if the market does go down, they're going to get demolished because they don't have a ton of security measures or stretching to my sports analogy measures in play right now. So I think that's what I want to do. So my next distribution will be NVIDIA, and that comes out next week. So what will happen will be, last month, let's go back here. Last month, NVIDIA paid me $266 after tax. So that would be $52 in cash in my account just from Nvidia. The rest, what's that, around 216, would go straight to the margin and pay down my margin, which again is $544, right? And so that's good. Then the week after that, Coney, you can see Coney and Hui there paid me roughly 200 and let's just call it $220. So 10%, right? It was 22, 20% is 44. There's another 44 going to the cash. The rest going to margin. Misty last month paid me $490. So 20% of that, I don't know. I can't do that math. 90? Let's just call it 90. Could be $96. Going to cash, right? The rest going to margin. Hopefully at that point, the margin is paid off to zero. I then transfer all of those now paid for Alt shares over to my tax-free savings account. My margin's at zero. I do it again with Alti by another 100, right? And I feel like that's safe. But imagine that train going forward for the next 3 months, all of October, all of November, all of December, 3 months. And then come 3 months from now, traditionally, if tradition continues, the Santa rally ends in January, I'll have some cash there for a downswing in the market. But if it is not a downswing, that's something that I will be okay with because I've taken those protective measures. I've stretched before I did the athletic thing. I've stretched before I did the buying of the shares. And I will be okay at that point to deploy that cash. And who knows, maybe the market goes up so much over the next couple of months that it brings the VIX down to the price I want to buy it at. And I take that cash and I buy the VIX. I don't know. What do you guys think about the strategy, the idea? Do you guys do anything like that to protect yourself? I think it's important to not go with that term where we've heard so much, go all in. I think that's not a great strategy. And by the way, this is not advice to you. I'm just kind of sharing my opinion, and it's just an opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I have no financial background at what I do in the real world. I'm just kind of sharing the thought process of a regular guy who shares his regular life on YouTube. And if you enjoy that content, I hope you hit the subscribe. Definitely hope you hit the like button down below. And I hope to be able to do this again tomorrow. My name is Mike. The channel's name is Health and Wealth. You have a great night. Bye for now.